Hello, so we're going to do a little video about spider foes. I've been dabbling with spider foes recently and I've been having a lot of fun with them. They're pretty cool. And I've been lucky enough to get the spider foes badge now, so I thought that'd be a fun time to talk about what I've been doing with the list and what is going on with them. So yeah, I've been playing Green Goblin leadership entirely. I've played Ock before, but I thought we'd give Green Goblin a go. He seems more fun, and his win rate's high for some reason, so I don't know quite what's going on with that. But yeah, he's fun. So this is the list. It's Green Goblin, Carnage, Rhino, Craven, Lizard, Mysterio, and then it would be Rocket here. I don't own him in real life though, so I've been playing Bullseye. Spectacular Spider-Man, Shang-Chi, and Loki. And the fun thing about this list is that mostly we're just playing the affiliated models. So like these front five, six. Usually I'll play at 17. All of those, and just one of the two fours, either Carnage or Rhino, depending the situation. And then there's sometimes Spectacular come in for Mysterio as well. So that's one of the nice things about this list is you actually get to play it thematic and fun. So mostly what we're doing with this is they're just a pure mid-range list. So they're just looking to get stuck in, do a little bit of damage, do a little bit of scenario with like Rhino or maybe a throw from Lizard and stuff, and then just try and do a little bit of everything and win the game with that. The advantage that folks have with this kind of playstyle is that they have really cool spike potential. So that's the kind of the little niche that they have, which is quite fun. Which is around turn 2 or round 2-3 of the game. They can use some of their tactics cards and some of their characters, which synergize really well to just like spike out of nowhere and like get a really heavy tempo lead. And that is part of the reason why we're using these secures. So we've got all three of the scenario-ish pay-to flips in Guardians, Macran and Mutant Madman, and then some relatively high-scoring extracts in Spider Infected, Cubes, and Samples. And the thing I like with these is that like pay-to flips are one of the best ways of turning spikes into huge victory point swings. So if you get a turn where Carnage goes mad or Craven just absolutely annihilates a big thing that it would otherwise dominate one side of the board, you can absolutely sweep the victory points that round. You can get like 7-8 victory points to your opponent's 1 or 2, sometimes even 0. And if that happens on like round 2 sometimes, or round 3, you can just win the game. There's often no coming back from that because there are too many points of pressure where your opponent on their next turn can't just kill everything simultaneously. They have to go in one spot on the board, and then you can then retaliate or try and do stuff on other sides of the board. So that's a really interesting way, I think, to try and leverage the advantages of the foes stuff. So what have we got with cards? We were just talking about cards. We've got Brace and Sack, fairly basic, fairly obvious. The reason Sacrifice is here is because we have models like Carnage and Craven that can have insanely explosive activations, as we've just discussed, and trying to protect those is really useful. If you've got a powered up Carnage, or Craven doesn't need that much power, but a little bit of power on Craven, and you can make sure they activate, they can do absurd things. And then the reason they can do absurd things is cards like Surprise Webhead, Carnage Rules, Custom Upgrades that just increase the amount of damage that they can do. Surprise Webhead is great, and one of the reasons why it's cool to use lots of foes models. And then we have Rhino, who can just he's still amazing. Like I don't play him as much as I should because he's still like maybe the best affiliated model in isolation in the list. But like it's more fun to play Carnage sometimes. But he is still like when I really want to win a game, then Rhino more often than not comes out because he's just, particularly on pay to flip, just so fast and it does so much damage with the throw, and then obviously robbery is crazy. And then Grand Illusion is a Mysterio card, which mostly comes out on like close fights, where it's going to be most effective. Sinister Traps is one that is funny because it's in the list and it doesn't get played that often, but like when it does get played, it's super valuable. So mostly it's just when you have priority on a D-shape extract, like samples is a good example, or hammers, or scrolls, and you can see in your opponent's list that they don't have any way to deal with it, and then you can get a relatively easy 3-1 extract lead, which is huge. Foes are great when you are level or slightly ahead. I've found that they get in a little bit of trouble when they have to chase the game because there's not a lot of action compression here. When people like Carnage and Kraven have to walk punch once, that's really not what they're doing good work. They need to be planted somewhere and kicking off and doing 2, 3, 4 sometimes attacks with Carnage. So in order to leverage that or create those kind of situations in the game, you need to not be going down too heavily on round 1. And the other 2 cards, we've got Reaver's Wounds here. That is just an Apocalypse card. I'm not even sure whether it's the good thing to pick, but that's what the last list I used included, just in case. Because the 2 damage deals you've got, Carnage and Kraven, do automatic bleed on their attacks, which is an absolute disaster into Apocalypse. Because he heals 2 from each attack you do into him. So it's just a way to try and mitigate that. And not necessarily even play it, but just give Apocalypse the fear that he can't just ignore these guys or stand next to them for free. That's the thinking. I've not actually had a chance to play it yet, so that's why it's there. And Survival is an amazing card that I really like in this list. Again, for the same reason that we just mentioned about Carnage and Kraven. You can make sure those guys activate, then they will do huge amounts of work for you more often than not. And Survival is a really great way of doing that, making sure they get a whole activation. It's particularly great on Kraven because he doesn't need a huge amount of power to kick off and start his turn going. Usually, 3 or maybe 5 if he wants to play custom upgrades 2, which I think is legal. So, because this is... I'll just double check that I'm not wrong on that. To the end of the first turn this round. Can't use reactive tactical cards yet, and this isn't reactive. Yeah, that makes sense. Oh, it is reactive. Okay, I can't remember. I've never actually done it, but I'll have to check whether that's true. So yeah, so keeps them alive, and let's get their activation, which is amazing. Yeah, so one of the things that I just mentioned is that trying not to go down, so trying to get involved and not chase. So I've got a situation here that I recreated from a game at the weekend. So I played a tournament at the weekend. It was Nations, the team event, and then on the Sunday there's a singles event. I just recreated a situation from one of the games I played. This one Tessie, and Lisa's gone and got the middle one, and then we've come up everywhere, and these are all the guys. But yeah, one of the things is here is like just being super aggressive with the guys. So Kraven's moved up here, flipped this point, and then come and stood within 2 of Strange over here, slightly angled so he didn't get charged by Shang-Chi. And then Kraven would not, in a lot of games, he would just double move. He started here. So a lot of games, he'd just double move and stand on this point, not try and flip it necessarily, because there were 2 people there. But in this game, Shang had 2 power from Wong, so he could have charged him. So I didn't want to get him just annihilated by Carnage get Carnage annihilated immediately. But he's there, so next turn he can walk in, stand next to those guys, and maybe do an attack, see what happens. And what is relatively important about this is that one of the key things with Carnage and Kraven is they need to get stuck in, and if they die, they die. That's fine. But the important thing is where they wake up after they die. So it's much better off, I find, with having people like Kraven and Carnage get dazed and then wake up in a position where they're next to the people that dazed them. That's much better than having them play cagey and then stand around at the back and then next turn just have to walk, do 1 5-dice attack, which is terrible. Protecting them doesn't get a huge amount of value from them, whereas getting stuck in does. So what happened in this game is that in the next turn, Carnage walked in, attacked Magic, didn't kill her. Then Magic just annihilated and did all 8 damage from her attacks. But that was fine, because then Carnage woke up on the round 3 with 10 power, and then tried to go to town, did all sorts of nonsense, and he did a big spender, which didn't kill any of these dudes, but my opponent burnt 3 tactics cards, including heroes and bracer stuff, to ensure that that didn't happen. That was okay. That was a good trade. He put some damage on, and then eventually these characters all got KO'd in the end of the game. Because of that, I had prior in this game, so in this game, Craven, this forced my opponent to play Ironbound Books fairly immediately, which was fine, it gets out of the way, and Craven did nothing so strange with Prio, and then came back here and hit, which is fine. We got something out of it. We got him to play the card, so that was fine. Yeah, and we can see we've got everybody in nice positions to do stuff, like Goblin and Spider-Man are with a bench 4 of Shang. So Shang had moved, charged Lizard, and then moved backwards with Flow Like Water. So we positioned these guys here, and that's all set up. And I've had a lot of games where I've struggled with Spider Foes is where I've just been too cautious, particularly with Carnage. I was like, oh, shall I dive a cube? Shall I not dive a cube? And then I don't, and then he does nothing for the entire game because my opponent can ignore him or run away from him. And that's, I think, a big lesson I've learned in some of the games I lost, is that you just have to be super duper aggressive with these dudes. And, if they get spiked, they get spiked. Such is life. And that's one of the reasons Survival's a good card, I guess, in this list as well. Okay, so going back to the list here, that is one of the lists. Another one I have been dabbling with is this Kingpin Duel. So, going back to the other list, one of the games that I struggled with was Kingpin, particularly on Scoundrels, but also Avengers. I had a really horrible game against Avengers, really tough couple of games actually, and it felt like a very bad matchup for Goblin. He's not got a lot of displacement. Lizard is going to struggle to get the power to do more than one throw a game normally. And then you're just looking at Rhino with maybe a robbery throw, and then Mysterio and maybe Spider-Man. But it's all very bitty, and Kingpin players generally have things like Indomitable to turn off the occasional bit of displacement, and then you are really just hoping and rolling the dice, trying to get some damage through. And that's not great because with models like Kingpin and then Beat Ray Bill I play sometimes, Mysterio is struggling to get his triggers off to do extra damage. Carnage is not really chewing through a Kingpin or a Rhino, not giving them lots of power. So it's really hard to do any of the things you're trying to do when they get their secures. So I brought in this Kingpin list to try and counter that, but also give me a secondary strategy on the games like Intrusions and Fisk and Wedding Party. So that's what Loki's in here for, this original list. I think I just mentioned those. We'll talk about those quickly. So he is there for the Intrusions type games, and that's because of the synergy with Mysterio and the Grand Illusion. They work really well together, and Loki turns into a bit of a monster on that turn. And Shang was just here as my way to try and get around the Kingpin games and things like that. But I found it wasn't really enough. He was still not. He was having to do it solo almost, so that was a real struggle. It was hard work. So we tried this list instead. And this is Kingpin is here as the attempt to try and play against both the Avengers and Kingpin, and also to try against the Wedding Party and Fisk kind of lists, because it's actually pretty good on those. If you can get 4-0 on the secures round 1 with Kingpin plus an extra advantage, maybe 3-2 on that, you're going to get a huge clock on the game, and your opponent's going to try and kill you. Fine, that's fine. But then Kingpin is an amazing model when you're just stuck in the middle, and he doesn't have to walk anywhere because he can sort of double spend a throw. He's got 3 displacements and 2 staggers out on his turn. So yeah, he's a fantastic model that I dabbled with playing just in Goblin on his own. So yeah, I mean, if the map came up that was a possibility, I have done that and played Kingpin just under Green Goblin, just because he is so cool on those kind of fights. He's particularly good. The couple of games I played with him on were where samples came out, So something like intrusions and samples, because he gets bonus power from the skull, which he really likes. That sets him up to do like lots of cool things. So yeah, that lets you bring Black Cat in, which is a really cool option because he gives you the cat and the spider, which I'm not sure I've got in here, but it was in some of the lists. And that gives you safe grab, which both in Kingpin and also potentially you could play it in foes, because as I mentioned before, like going down on VPs is horrible for them. They don't want to be chasing people around. They want to be stuck into the fight or making people come to you, and that's an option you can definitely do. Like maybe a 20 threat or something when you've got an extra model you want to throw in there. If you can safe grab with that, and then make your opponent come into you and fight you. But yeah, the spike, the single target damage on these guys is absolutely ridiculous. It's so much fun. It's really cool. Like I had a Craven activation where I unleashed a surprise webhead as well and did like, I don't know, 14 damage to a Hulk off the rip or something like that. I've had Carnage go 1v1 versus She-Hulk and like come out the winner over a couple of turns. So like they can do extreme damage if you put all of your cards into it, and that's what they're for. Cards are a resource to use, and you can get a lot of value out of them. So yeah, the other one had Spider Infected in, which is cool because you get a little bit of value from Mysterio and Green Goblin, like triggering their traps in the power phase, which is cool and can be really devastating. I put Terrigen in this one. Just because I'm a bit scared of Inhumans and stuff, but maybe spiders can go back in. But yeah, the F-shapes are good, I think, because you can dive with like Carnage and Lizard and then try and get the game kicked off, get in the thick of things. People don't love attacking Carnage. It does go down a lot quicker than you think a lot of times, but also like if you're leaving him on one is such a disaster that your opponent's got a really tough decision about what they do with him. But yeah, 17 is interesting. I've seen a lot of people who don't like it because they want to run 2 4s and a 2. But I really like it. I like the 3s that Spider-Foes have in hand. Lizard is an every game model. You just need one guy who goes and stands in places and holds a thing. That's great. He's the best at doing that job. Craven is amazing. He's an every game model. He is just the coolest dude. He does all the fun stuff. I just love him so much. And then you've either got Mysterio or Spectacular, who can just do a really great job, usually, in a lot of situations. I think that's great. Like 1-4 picked for the situation, and then 3 3s along with the leader. It's great. I've loved that at 17. I thought it's been really fun. Cubes also is one that I really struggle with a lot of affiliations, but I absolutely love with foes. Lizard loves a cube. He can heal the damage off, and he solves his power issues. Carnage absolutely loves a cube, but he can carry a couple and not really worry about it too much. He loves the power. He doesn't mind the damage because he can possibly heal it back. It makes people interact and try and attack him, which is fantastic. So one of the things with cubes that I struggle with is like the damage it gets chipped down on your models means they can all suddenly just explode in one round and you can just lose. But both Carnage and Lizard are some of the best models in the game for carrying cubes. So that sort of like mitigates the thing. And I found it really good against some of the meta teams like Apocalypse and Inhumans, because if they do their silly nonsense and end up with 3 Qs, then they get chipped down, and they really don't like that. Like they're little squishy guys like Iceman and Magic and even Beast. They really don't want to go losing 3 health by round 3, and then that it's amazing for that side as well for the foes, because Carnage loves nothing more than picking on a dude with 2 or 3 health left to trigger his Paint the Town Red stuff, and then healing all the damage he's taken from his cube, picking up another cube which he can then heal. So yeah, he loves that mission in particular. So yeah, I think that was great. Samples is just one of my favourite missions in the current pack. I think it's really skill testing. You can get a lot of value out of trying to deny the bonus VP on your opponent and keep it for yourself. I really enjoy playing that. Scoundrels is literally just in this Kingpin list because it's Kingpin and he is stupid on that Crisis. It's kind of rough when you get to play Kingpin on Scoundrels. So yeah, that's that. Into the Crisis. The matchups with various affiliations in the game. We've got Humans and Apocalypse, and Avengers sort of at the top at the moment. We discussed Avengers. I found that quite difficult. They're quite difficult to chew through, especially with Steve. Like one of the games I lost is just like I needed to do 1 damage to Steve to get another round, and then like he's rolling 8 dice defenses and stuff with Cable in there as well, and it's just like impossible for them to chew through. So that's really rough, and they project so much threat on round 1 that diving is actually a disaster, which is one of the things I want to do. Like the game that was the game where I didn't dive Carnage to grab, I think it was a spider in that game, and it was because I was going to get attacked maybe 4 times or something because they all charge for 1 power, maybe 5, and it was just like it felt like too much to risk, and maybe I should have just done it. I think probably should have, but yeah, they just project too much threat for you to do anything on round 1, and then they've suddenly got the lead, and then you can't chase into them. So that's a rough game. Conversely, like Inhumans doesn't feel too bad because you just have to get really aggressive with them and kill their 3 threats, which is just a way to beat them. It's the same as playing webs, really. You just have to go get them immediately and kill them good. And foes are set up quite well for that, so they can get themselves in an aggressive position, set up for round 2, and then just try and kill their dudes and hope it works. So it wasn't too bad, that one, even though they are still very strong and it's quite dicey still. Apocalypse I haven't played against enough to really form an opinion, but they did feel pretty rough. The ability to just squash some of our dudes is rough, but I'd like to play it a few more times. That's why Grievous Wounds was in the other list, because it felt like a tough game. But yeah, maybe I need to play it a bit more. Like the couple of games I played were a bit weird and dicey. Like Green Goblin got 1 shot immediately, all 7 health of him. So it was difficult to really tell whether that was an Apocalypse thing or just a dice thing. Okay, so a few other things to quickly go through. This 3 threat spot, I've tried quite a few things in this place. I tried X-23 first, then I tried a bit of Zemo, and I really liked them. They were cool. X-23 was a lot of fun. Pierce and having a second model with Frenzy, Pierce with the leadership, having a second model with Frenzy, really, really good. She's fun. I found it was more of the same, and so the times when you struggled or you lost games were when like you just didn't have tools to unlock situations, and you couldn't just burn through the situation with high damage from Craven or Carnage. You needed a specific thing, like 1 bit of displacement, to just sort of like unlock a problem, and that's where Spectacular comes in. He's just a toolbox model who does a little bit of everything, but very, very well. And then just having that redundancy in the list I found to be really useful. So like you've got the rest of your models like Craven, Carnage, and Goblin, they're just trying to shoot things up, give them a kill, and having somebody who can just slow the tempo down a little bit, so you get an extra round in the game to try and do that kind of stuff, is quite useful. So like when you have the rounds where Carnage and Craven just whiff, suddenly the game can go out of control, you can lose tempo, you can be down too many points where you can't get back in the game. And sometimes in those situations you just want a model that's just going to impact webbing somebody, maybe throw someone off a point, and then you suddenly aren't just losing the game on the spot. You've just like put more time in the game, slowed the clock down, and that I found to be really useful. But like there's definitely other avenues you can go. This is a big flex spot here. And then I think it'd be interesting to talk about the tactics cards and when you take them, and that's I think quite a useful thing to discuss. So yeah, like if we're running Rhino or Carnage, they get the card almost all the time. That just sort of makes sense. They are really good cards, and if we're not playing them, they lose a lot of their effectivity. Like, you can't play Rhino without Robbery, it's just nuts, and Carnage with Carnage rules. Like, it's really important to have the ability for him to, like, not be completely disrupted by displacement. So the thing that's good about this card I've found is that it's making someone move towards Carnage when he wouldn't otherwise be in attack range. And then if he gets to daze them, because you can choose to it, so you can choose somebody weak, then he gets to move short with his Paint the Town Red superpower, and suddenly he can do other stuff and get back involved in the game. Carnage is sad when he has to walk and attack once, so unlocking that is so crucial. And then Brace and Surprise Webhead are like almost every game cards. Like, there is a few situations where Brace doesn't come out, like maybe against Webs or Shield or Apocalypse, but mostly that's always coming out. And the Surprise Webhead is just an amazing card. Don't be afraid to use it just for one attack. Like, if there's somebody on 1 health and Carnage can attack them, to get one more attack and then another attack with the Paint the Town Red, amazing. Craven, if he's already attacked someone with Cuckoo Strike and he's getting his +3 dice, maybe a +4, maybe a +6 with the custom upgrades, amazing. Like, even then, it's fine, but if you want to use it with 2 or 3 people, then even better. That's great. But yeah, it's just like having the redundancy to maybe finish off someone you would have otherwise left on 1. Perfect. Like, it's just so flexible. Like, you can do huge wombo combo turns with it, but also just one more attack. Could sometimes be the key difference. That's great. Sacrifice is big. Depends bigly on the map shape. So maybe if you're on a D, it gets less value then you're a bit clumped up. It's always kind of useful there. There's lots of games, even on D shapes, where it comes out. But primarily it's there to keep Carnage and Craven alive for their activations. So pretty good. Custom upgrades doesn't come out as much as you thought initially, and even sometimes when it does come out, it doesn't get played because it's very dependent on priority. If you play it without priority, then you're probably going to just target that model with someone else and just burn them down real quick. So it's the kind of thing like you need to know at the start of the game that you're going to have priority at that particular turn and have your model in a position to take advantage from it. Craven is a great guy for using this, obviously, because he might get 3 attacks in a turn. If you use Webhead as well, and they get really huge, big boosted attacks. But like, it's great on Mysterio too. Like, 6 dice means he gets his attacks, his trigger more to move people around. Perfect. Like, even Green Goblin, you can just position him early to, like, I played against Isaac, the king of the foes, once, and he just, like, it was cubes, I think, so he had a bonus power. And so Goblin just immediately put himself within range 4 of my Zemo on round 2, and then just custom upgraded straight away and just started wailing on Zemo. And that was great. It worked really well. So yeah, if there's an opportunity to play it, great, go for it. But it has to be done quite carefully, I think, so it's not necessarily an every game card. Yeah, but it's especially good on Cubes and Infinity when you can interact on turn 1, still play it top of 2. Grand Illusion Survival mostly come out on brawly maps, but I don't mind playing Survival on a B shape, like, because that's a sort of shape where Sacrifice might not be as useful, so you sort of maybe play Survival instead. That kind of works, sort of keeps a model alive to activate in a similar situation. So I play that quite a lot, more than I thought I would, and more than I would in many other lists. I think it's excellent here. Central Chats we discussed, and I've had Strategic Retreat in and out of the list, but not really used it that often, to be honest. I think it's more of an Ock card, to be honest. The 4 power is a big ask. But yeah, it's something I want to play with a bit more, but that's something that's there too. Okay, well, I think that's just about it. We had a nice little chat about that, so that was good. And if you have any questions, please just pop them in the comments or message me. We can talk about foes some more, because they are the coolest. And yeah, the other thing to mention, well, the last thing, is that they're awesome and fun. And that's one of the things I've really enjoyed about the list, is that all the models just do super cool, fun stuff. Like, and the highs they live when they do their perfect turns, like Mysterio or Craven or Rhino or Carnage or even Goblin. Like, the highs they live when everything goes well are just so high, and it's so much fun. That, like, I would highly recommend everyone playing them. Obviously, there are some lows occasionally when things don't work out, but like, it's worth it. And when things go well, and that's why playing them all together worked really well, because if Mysterio is going to have a bad game, maybe Carnage will have a good game, and you can sort of like have an opportunity to play lots of people who can sort of go crazy, do cool, unique stuff, and maybe win you the game. And that's cool and awesome. So yeah, thanks for watching.